Partnered by Time's influence.
We use energy in everything we do, one way or another. But the energy that we use to power our homes and businesses and to run our vehicles is fast depleting our planet of its resources. Because most of this is carbon-based and highly subsidized. I'm Miloni Bhatt and you're watching Future Perfect 2.0, a series in which we give you insights into innovations that boost progress and prompt growth. In the next half hour, we look at some solutions that can reduce losses in times of disasters. The inspiring story of India's most efficient homes. And finally, a glimpse into homes of the future. Last year, the country's Central Electricity Authority reported that India is on the verge of being a power surplus nation. But paradoxically, rural India continuously remains starved of electricity. Now, one of the many reasons for it is also the country's vulnerability to natural disasters. For instance, in southern India, where we are, over the last few years, cyclones like Varda and Hudhud have deeply impacted lives and livelihoods. Studies indicate that natural disasters cause losses of up to 2% of India's GDP and 12% of the central government's revenue. Of these, the Indian subcontinent is the worst affected by tropical cyclones, causing heavy damages to public and private property.
Typically, we have three kinds of natural disasters: floods, earthquakes, and cyclones. And the kind of impact that typically occurs is that either lines get broken, that means poles fall, or transformers fail. In the time of floods, sometimes what happens is that because of short-circuiting, electricity is switched off. What it implies is that many people who need electricity don't get it, and more importantly, many services, hospitals, communication services, these are adversely affected, which means that at times of disasters, when we need these kinds of emergency services, they are often not available.
Among the many people who were impacted by Cyclone Hudhud, there is this young man. Let's listen to his experiences of the devastating cyclone. Can you tell us about what you faced?
Mainly current problem I have faced, and I did not even went to my college also. Lot of problems we have faced. No petrol to go outside also. A lot of water problem, food problem, everything is on that time we are really suffered a lot. It's very problem to us.
Okay.
So we just went far from the city. We invested some money on the building. What it is spoiled, or water came to our house. So
did you live close to the coastline,
yeah.
And then did you shift after Hudhud?
Before we have lived in the coastal area, but after that we have shifted to inside the city. Because
so there was a lot of fear.
Fear. Of course, there is a lot of fear because if we stay besides here, a lot of cyclones will come, not only one. So they have to intimate us before only. If any cyclone is happening, they have to intimate before and they have to tell to us, so that we can do something precautions to us.
How bad was the power situation? For how many days did you not have?
Nearly we have suffered 15 days. 15 to 20 days we have suffered, but the government has taken some charges.
Can you tell us what you did after dark? You know, when it was dark and there was no electricity, how did you all manage?
By candles we have managed, but we have suffered. No sleeping at all, a lot of mosquitoes. Everything we have faced on that time.
Okay. Are you afraid of cyclones?
Yeah, of course we are afraid of cyclones. Cyclones we cannot say how and when it will come. So we are afraid of it. So before they have to implement us, the government or anyone, they have to implement before means we can take some precautions. We can go
To safety.
to safety places.
Seeing this normal ebb and flow of life, it's hard to imagine the devastation that was caused by Cyclone Hudhud in Visakhapatnam. Restoring normalcy took time, especially when it came to restoring electricity to businesses and households, the most basic need. So then, when it comes to power supply, is it possible to have a system that can withstand these natural forces and not impair our lives during a calamity?
Withstanding fierce typhoons in China, BASF's utility poles have played a crucial role in restoring normalcy to many lives.
Elastolite is actually a material with a polyurethane based chemistry. Here this material is developed to make a composite pole. We call it as utility pole in general term. And this is being made with a filament winding technology where you use resin, that is a polyurethane based resin, which is being offered by BASF under Elastolite name, and you use fiber for a reinforcement purpose. So you will have a mandrail on that, you will build this resin and the fiber structure. It's a hollow structure, and then that will help you to make the utility pole, which is actually a hollow structure. You will have different kind of climatic condition from one terrain to another terrain. So here, when it is exposed to an adverse climatic condition like a typhoon kind of a situation, then you see most of the time a traditional concrete or maybe a steel utility pole can get damaged or may get collapse also, which will be actually disconnect to the whole electricity connection what you have. In this case, a composite based technology with polyurethane as a resin, we have developed a utility pole which is almost 2.5 times lighter in weight, but again it is 2.5 times or more stronger in terms of the bending strength. So it can withstand a very adverse climatic condition as well as very high wind velocity. Still it will remain as it is. That is the reason it can help you to remain connected with the electricity even if it is being exposed to the adverse condition.
Generally speaking, we need to ensure that everybody has access to electricity when they need it. So the first thing is just make sure that it reaches everywhere. And that's the Prime Minister's Saubhagya program, which is taking electricity into every home in the country. The second is that when an emergency occurs, a natural disaster occurs, then we are still able to supply. That's where we need to ensure whether it is the long distance transmission lines, whether it is the local distribution lines or the transformers, particularly those that are supplying key emergency services. Hospitals, communications, these continue to work even in times of disaster. And therefore, redundant systems, systems that do not break as a result particularly of cyclones, which do not short circuit in the case of floods, those are the kinds we need to invest in at key places.
On the other side, how renewable energy can make efficient homes a reality. Welcome back. When it comes to power consumption, not all houses are created equal. For instance, an urban household will use much more electricity to power it than the one in a rural hinterland. And so rightly the onus is on us who live in cities to conserve our energy use. Striking the right harmony between design and the surroundings, a family living close to metropolitan Bengaluru has created the perfect example of an efficient household.
My name is Rajesh Shah. In 1997, my son was born, and at that time I was trying to figure out what to do to give him as good a future as I had. And to me, it clearly wasn't just getting him money, but to give him a better world with a chance to experience the thing. And so we started getting interested in nature, in ecology, eco-friendliness. In 2000, my wife and I both quit our corporate jobs and we started gardening. And the garden became our primary source of food. We moved to Bangalore in 2007 and we were lucky to find a house and an architect that we liked. And this building which you see around us was finished, the frame was up, and I asked the architect if I could design the plumbing and electrical, and she says, okay, you can. And so we bought the house and we put in a plumbing and electrical system that we always wanted. We built 3 tanks of about 30,000 liters storage capacity to capture rainwater. So we can live off rainwater for about 6 months of the year without any others. For electrical, we moved to solar. We have a full solar system, and of course we as much energy efficiency lights, but we also have a lot of natural lighting and minimize all our use of electricity. After 2 cloudy days, we run out of energy, but we've set it up so that we know our budget. We have a budget of 6 batteries. When they totally discharge, we have to switch to grid. A lot of our water from showers and from our kitchen sink goes to our garden. Our laundry water is recycled, is stored and separately, and is recycled to flush the toilets. Our water consumption comes to about 200 liters a day for the family, not including gardening. We wanted to, make our house enjoyable. Eco-friendly doesn't mean unenjoyable. So every room has cross ventilation. Our usage of fans and all is very limited. We have no air conditioners in the house. All our bathrooms have glass tile roofs, and our room, staircase and living room have a large expanse of glass kitchen and back room. So in the day, there is not one corner of the house that needs light. When everyone goes on vacations, what do they choose? Some place which has greenery, they can go for walks, watch the sunset. You already know what you need. Why keep it for 1 week a year? Why can't you live in that kind of situation? There's a lot to be done outside this rat race, and I found when I quit, we are in the rat race because of fear. We're just afraid. For me, I know the corporate world offers a lot of exciting opportunities, and there's a dazzle of technology and new things and new gadgets. But the simple world offers, plucking your own tomatoes, plucking your own chikus, cutting your own aloe leaves. The gentleness, the thing is really something that we are now more attracted to. The high-paced imagery, and we sort of find too hyper and not healthy for us. So we are leading lifestyles of connection to nature, to the soil and to our souls. We are living lifestyles of peace and tranquility and stress-free, and we are able to do good.
Apart from traditional means, many energy-efficient households are using contemporary methods to conserve electricity. It's a very clever synthesis of cutting-edge and time-tested technologies.
India has 5 distinctive climatic zones. The houses in down south in Chennai, the challenges may be completely different from the houses in northern part of the country. However, our own ancestors, they have found the significance to live in harmony with nature and design, construct their own houses along with the environment. The modern green building, green home architects, developers and the stakeholders have adopted various techniques. To name a few of them are, number one is bringing in a better orientation. Number two, selecting the materials which are eco-friendly, environment-friendly, but also people-friendly. Third one is on bringing in an awareness on the initial investments. So initially many people thought that green homes are going to cost us a bomb. To be more precise, constructing a green home today in 2017 may not cost more than 2% of their initial investment. In fact, there are n number of classical developer-driven projects or individual-driven individual homes which has adopted our IGBC green homes right from the design, early part of the design stage, wherein the incremental cost is almost a big zero.
The temperature inside our buildings, homes, schools, offices are all at the mercy of the vagaries of the weather. Over the ages, we've used construction and architectural techniques to ensure that weather optimizes rather than impedes our living conditions. But as building and insulation techniques evolve, here's a look at technologies that are bringing in more efficiencies into a building.
Energy has been a subject which has not been much practiced in our country. We are not conscious about energy preservation. We are always looking at something which is less power consumption. But what we're not looking at is the lights that we have, the ACs that we fit, and the geysers that we have, which are actually energy gobblers. Now, with the advent of higher technology, these items have come in which saves energy in terms of not only the energy input to these machines, which translates directly to the amount of money you spend per month. The walls have a tendency of retaining heat through the whole day and then releasing the heat inside the premises. But it doesn't release outside, because outside heat translates to the cooler area. It transmits to the cooler area, which is the inside. So insulating the heat so it does not move into the inside is very important. So if you have insulation outside, then you have dual purpose. If the heat does not come in, the interior remains cool. If the interior remains cool, your air conditioning works less, so you have more saving.
Calcutta in particular is extremely humid. So one of the customers actually wanted to improve his comfort within the residential area that he is living in. So he wanted to come up with an external insulation for him. These are systems which have been used in many structures, many hotels, and is traditionally been used for commercial buildings as well.
BASF is a world leader in this. Unfortunately, in India, nobody thought about this building envelope material that they have. It's actually enveloping the entire exterior of the building. And similarly, we have used a lot of thermal insulation on top of all rooftops so that the heat does not translate inside the premises. The electricity load which is generated in my home is actually 50% less than the normal electricity bills that I would be paying per month.
The CEA, the Central Electricity Authority, says that the energy consumption in residential buildings is 3 times more than that of a commercial building. And the reason that is also going to grow, the intensity of energy consumption is going to grow in residential building is because of increased use of air conditioning area. That would also be largely due to increased awareness and a need for comfort. To increase comfort, then you have different ways of insulations called wall and the roof insulation, which together we call it as a building envelope. There are various ways that you actually do the building envelope. One is by using boards and one is by using something called a spray insulation. Walls constitute 75% of the heat that would come inside a residential building. So the importance of wall insulation is still not felt very much in this country, but we have products, BASF has developed products which we call it as neopore boards for external insulation and finishing systems. And then you have the roof insulation, which can be also made up of different types of boards. You have mineral oils, you have various types of bricks. The most common thing that the country like India uses is something called a brickbat coba for insulating. But in today's scenario, that might not be of much use. So we have come up with new age solutions like the spray polyurethane foams. Traditionally, these foams actually would give more than about 30% higher energy efficiency than your traditional materials that of the mineral based.
How do we enable energy efficiency at the grassroots level?
Today we have enough technology that allows us to have energy efficiency at our home and even in our offices. For instance, in most of our modern offices today, we use motion activated lights so that as soon as people leave a room, the lights go off. At home, for instance, we could today use and adopt energy efficient appliances. Bureau of Energy Standards under the Ministry of Power gives a star rating for appliances based on their energy efficiency. So the higher the number of stars, the better they are from an energy efficiency point of view. Now these appliances might cost a little bit more than those that are less energy efficient, and that could be a bit of a barrier. However, we should look at the total cost of ownership. So over a period of time, I believe we will be contributing to ourselves, even reducing our own energy costs by using these appliances. So I think one is about each of us behaving responsibly. The other is about pitching in to buy those appliances which are already established to have better energy efficiency. And I think more importantly, this is something that we also need to take as each individual responsibility, not only to practice ourselves, but also to communicate to our friends and to the society at large.
A sustainable lifestyle means rethinking our ways of living. Our choices and actions on energy use, whether at home or at work, will determine the health of our planet. That's it on this episode of Future Perfect 2.0.
Next week, solutions that enable the journey of our food from the farm to our table.
Partnered by Times Influence.